Next topic is path-space relationship. The paths may be related to the spaces they link to in the following ways. Number one is pass-by spaces. That means you are having a path in the center and you are having these spaces, the path is flanked by the spaces on both the sides. So that is like you are passing through the path and you are just passing through spaces as well as you are passing through the path. The integrity of each space is maintained. That means no space is disturbed. The integrator is maintained unless like you enter into that space. The configuration of the path is flexible. Uh, that means you can add more, subtract, or whatever you want to do with the configuration. It is flexible in the sense it is linear. Mediating spaces can be used to link the path within the spaces. Next is pass through spaces. That means you are having a path which follows through the spaces. That means through that path you are following. You are passing through the spaces. So here the path may pass through a space axially, obliquely, or along its edge. So here like it is for following axially, here it is obliquely, and here it is along its edge. In cutting through a space, the path creates patterns of rest and movement within it. That means whenever like we are having this kind of pass through spaces, we are always having some kind of area where you are able to take a break or rest or anything. Like these are the spaces which are basically linking many other spaces. So these are basically linking one space to the other. So as you enter into our building's courtyard, so you are that space can be called as a pass-through space, because through that courtyard you may be going to many other places. You may be going to lecture room, you may be going to studio, you may be going to faculty cabins, etc., etc. Then last is terminate in a space. Just imagine that the railway track is terminating in some railway terminal. So this is the termination in a space. The location of the space establishes the path. This path-space relationship is used to approach and enter functionally or symbolically important spaces. That means, suppose the train is entering into the termination point. That railway station is called Victoria Terminus. So that is how the important terminating points they are established. You can also take it like this. Suppose you are entering an important monument. So your main purpose is to go to the monument and see the monument. So once like you reach the monument, so that is like where you terminate the path where you come from. You don't simply pass by the important monument and go to some other place. No, here the purpose is to reach the important monument. So this can also be related to as terminate in a space, right? Then path-space relationships. Here it is showing that they are passing through many spaces, and this is the path which is being followed in the action manner. But here you are going through various courtyards. So one courtyard, second courtyard, third colonnade, and then you are entering into the other spaces. So if you see that this can be related to pass through spaces, right? So there are certain examples which you will go through while studying this topic. So here, like, this is a linear path where like it is going not through spaces, but it is going pass by spaces. So these spaces, they are adjacent. The path is flanked by the spaces around. Here you are going through spaces. So this is a through space because you are forming of the courtyard. So you are actually going through this area to go to this area. Then next is form of the circulation space. Have you ever thought that how important is the form of the circulation space in architecture? Because the circulation is very important aspect of our architecture. Suppose we are dealing with design of railway station or airport. So when we are dealing with public spaces, we tend to form the circulation space in that wide scale, because we don't normally like give the staircase as a 5 feet staircase, but we are widening our horizon about the planning also, because we are we have to accommodate larger crowds. So the form has to be like that only, because you can't have the you can't compare the lobby of airport, or the lobby of the airport to the lobby of a hotel. Of course, the airport lobby has to be very impressive. It has to be of that scale. It has to have high roof, whereas the five-star hotel or any hotel or any building may not have that scale lobby. So likewise, if we are entering into important buildings like churches, like worship places, we tend to see high ceilings. So that is also the form is developed in that manner that we tend to respect it more, because we have to ultimately bow against the deity. The spaces for movement form an integral part of any building organization and occupy significant amount of the volume of the building. If considered merely as functional linking devices, then circulation paths would be endless corridor-like spaces. So, if the circulation spaces, if you see this picture, this is also a circulation space, but at the same time, like, it is having some kind of interaction where people are watching down. They are they are at various levels. This is a mid landing level, this is the next floor level. So this is coming from a down say floor. So here there is kind of interaction and openness, feeling of openness is there in that circulation space only. So that volume is very important when we are designing buildings of that scale. If considered as a functional linking devices, and circulation paths would be endless corridor-like spaces. If we are not worried about the configuration of about the form of the circulation space, then those circulation spaces, they can be merely linking corridors or paths or passages, nothing beyond. So one would not find that essence of architecture or design or space in those spaces, in those linking spaces, or in those circulation spaces. The form and scale of a circulation space should accommodate the movement of people as they promenade, pause, rest, or take a view along a path. The form of the circulation space varies according to how its boundaries are defined. Its form relates to the form of the spaces it links. It its qualities of scale, proportion, light and view are articulated. Entrances open into it. It handles changes in levels with staircase and ramps. This is these all subpoints, they are defined. They can be easily understood through this sketch. Next is the form of the circulation space. When we are talking about the circulation space, majorly the form of the corridor comes into mind. So it can be read as the corridor which can be enclosed from both the sides, the corridor which is open from one side and it is having wall on the other side, and the corridor which is having which is open on both the sides, which is not having any wall on any of the sides. So what kind of feeling would you get when you are moving through this kind of space? Through this kind of space you feel certain openness. Through this kind of space you see people around. You are still managing to walk through the corridor and you are able to interact with people around. So here, if you see this corridor, it becomes not only a corridor in these two cases, but it becomes a physical extension of space it passes through. That means this is the space it is passing through, but it is also forming an extension of that space only. But here it is not forming the extension of this space, because the spaces, they are they are not part of the corridor physically. The width and the height of the circulation space should be proportionate with the type and amount of movement it must handle. That is how the circulation spaces in airports or in railway stations or in terminals, railway terminals, they are quite larger as compared to what we find at home. The distinction in scale should be established between a public promenade or a private hall and a service corridor. A narrow enclosed path naturally encourages forward motion to accommodate more traffic, as well as create spaces for pausing, resting of path can be widened. That means you must widen the areas if you want to pause, rest or view some spaces. Then within the large space, a path can be random without form or definition, and can be determined by the activities and arrangement of furnishings within the space. That means if you see this as the one exhibition hall where the artifacts, they are placed in this manner, so this is the movement configuration which you find around the spaces. So this is the circulation which you are establishing. So it can be say controlled by the arrangement of these artifacts. If you arrange them differently, it will have a different circulation. Form of the circulation space. So is it clear to all of you here? Like if you see that the corridor is not merely a corridor, but it is part of the courtyard. So please remember these sketches also, because you have to explain. Now next is the vertical circulation. I will explain it in the next slide.